When I was in those relationships with those men is when I think I felt the most lonely. Like, to have somebody and not have them the way you deserve to have somebody, I think that's the most loneliest thing in the world.
Welcome to the Pure Intentions podcast, where real love, raw emotions, and intentional relationships come together.
If there's a young lady out here and if one of your friends came to ask you, how did you find a good man?
Who said he was good? No. I'm just playing, baby.
I'm gonna get you back.
I think for me, I started dating in a space like I think most women that don't have a male figure or a father figure in their life. I started dating from a space of desperation. I had 2 kids very, very early in age. So I think I had the superhero complex, the wanting someone to come sweep me off my feet, the Prince Charming complex, and just swift me off and marry me, be good example for my daughters. And it led me down a path of basically serial dating the wrong type of guy. You'll date a man, believe every word that he says because you don't know what a good man looks like. You've never seen it before. So everything at this point is like trial and error. And I would date and date and date, and it just wasn't working out. Mostly because the man that I was dating was only wanting me for their own personal reasons. And I wasn't able to identify that. No matter how many times it happened, I just wasn't able to identify that.
What was those personal reasons?
Sex.
And that's it?
It was mostly sex, companionship, never for an intention of long-term commitment. I'm not saying that I didn't have some, because I've been proposed to in my life by the wrong type of guy. Like, I still would have these feelings once it led to that point, like this isn't right for me, or I couldn't see this in a long-term situation the further I got into life. But I still couldn't identify from jump like what a good man was. And what led me to learn that was, it's crazy because it wasn't that far from now, but in my 30s, I'm 35. So in my early 30s, after I had my son, and that relationship didn't work out, when I started to I just dated myself. Like, I got exhausted with the dating world. I got exhausted with wanting companionship. So I dated myself. And in dating myself, I learned that out of all of those relationships I was in, I'm the reason that it was so dope. Like, I learned to love me. Because it's like when you in a dating world, I know even with my friends, when we talk, we're just like, oh, I just want a man to do this for me, and I want a man to do that for me. And it's just like, why can't do it by myself? Like, what's the problem with doing those things with yourself? Because there has to be some sort of disconnect to where all the energies I'm attracting is emotionally unavailable man. So that means that I must not be available emotionally as well. Like, that was my thought process. So I'm like, I'm tired of waiting for a man to get me a room decorated for me, surprise me with flowers, do this. So I would do it for myself.
Okay.
Like, I literally started dating myself. And I fell in love with me. And I think falling in love with you is like the best thing that could ever happen. Because you're in a state of of what people might seem is loneliness, but I didn't feel alone. I felt like I had my number one fan in my corner. And when I was in those relationships with those men is when I think I felt the most lonely. Like, to have somebody and not have them the way you deserve to have somebody, I think that's the most loneliest thing in the world. So I dated myself. I learned to love me. And then when I decided to jump back into the dating field, I set boundaries. I set boundaries for myself. I knew because I dated me, I knew what the perfect man for me looked like. So if I went on a date with a guy, it was easier for me to say, no, I'm good, just by seeing a red flag that I knew I couldn't spend the rest of my life with. Where previously, I was just like, maybe he'll change. Or maybe it's just because he hasn't been in a relationship and I'll make excuses for that man. Whereas to now, there are no excuses because now I'm dating with intention and I know what it feels like to love myself. So I know what it looks like for somebody else to love me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So for me, dating with intention starts from learning what it is that you like, what you want, and not thinking that someone's going to give that to you automatically, and being patient with the process, because there are going to be a lot of frogs that you kiss that still stay frogs. And when I let go of the idea of marriage, when I let go of the idea of finding a perfect partner, when I let go, that's when you came along. So, yeah, dating intentionally to me is letting go of the expectations of what you feel like needs to happen and when it needs to happen. So time, letting go expectation, letting go the time frame, and letting God.
For women that are trying to date with intention and they're trying to match their mate, their one, their person. And most guys have an expectation of sex. How did you filter out the guys only
that was just looking for sex,
looking for the flesh, versus somebody that's looking for a long-term commitment and the ultimate goal?
Well, for me personally, what I did was I went through a stage of abstinence. I abstained from sex, and I made that promise to myself that when the next time that I was intimate with a man was going to be with my husband. And I mean, that didn't happen, but but that's not the point. The point is, at that point in time, it was happening for me. And I do get a lot of attention from males and females. So I would just, when they would approach me and, let me take you out, because that's always the thing, let me take you out. I would just tell them, like, yeah, that's cool, I'm open to it, but at this point in time in my life, I'm abstaining from sex. And I wouldn't hear from them again. They'll finish the conversation with me then. They'll get to know me a little bit, or pretend to get to know me at that moment. And by this time, we've already exchanged numbers to set up a date. And I'm like, look, hey, I'm abstaining for sex right now. I just need you to know that. So if that's, where we're going with this, I ain't giving in. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't even be like I wouldn't hear from them ever again, but the date thing would never happen. Like, it'll be like little conversation because they peeking in to see you still abstaining for sex, but they wouldn't say that. They would just lead to like, oh, I'm so busy, it's so hard for me. If you want, you can come over. Come over what? What am I coming over there for? Like, I'm not 20 and naive. You know what I mean? Like, I know what coming to your house is going to lead to. So it was that me introducing abstaining for sex, and you don't have to wait until you actually go on a date with this guy, because I think people have the thought process like, I don't want to tell him this, that, and the third. Like, maybe when we're sitting down and we're in this setting, no. When he asked me, whoever he was, asked me for my number, and I was giving it to him, and he wanted to plan a date, it was just to let you know, ain't no cookies being given out at all. So that filtered out all of the men that were just there for that one reason and that one reason alone.
So this concept with dating, and when you're dating, like filtering to see who's the one. And you mentioned about on the first date, what you do is you would rather be taken to places that you are comfortable with, that are not a huge spin, expensive. Whereas you have social media videos going viral of, in my opinion, chicks that are not worthy of it, wanted to go to this all-out fancy dinner on the first date. So there's an expectation of, for most of us guys, it's the first impression. And how you get a person, a woman, is how, you want to set that expectation. But you have a difference of opinion of that. And I want to get your feedback as to why you wouldn't want to be taken to a 5-star restaurant
on the first date. Yeah. So first I would say that, in my opinion, any woman that has an expectation of what she wants from a man, I believe that they are worthy of it, because I feel like you create your own world. So in their world, if they don't want to be taken to the Cheesecake Factory, no pun intended, then, they deserve someone who is not going to take them to the Cheesecake Factory on the first date. In my world that I've created, I have the belief system that because I know that the man is typically the person that pays for the dates, I would rather go on an inexpensive date to some places that I actually enjoy eating at. Like, I've been on a date to Portillo's because I like the Italian beefs from Portillo's. My thing is, this man is actively dating, and that could be expensive. And I might not want to talk to you after this first date. So the initiation, because I love going to the gym and working out, the initiation is always, let's do a gym date, because I have my own membership. And I also have a membership where I can add a person to. So if he doesn't have a membership at my gym, we can still go to my gym for free, technically, because I'm going to pay that gym membership regardless if you there or not. So that's the first start of it. Let's get to working out together and see if we click there. And if you want to go get like a smoothie or something afterwards, or you want to go out to eat or do something after that, that's completely fine, but it's not an obligation. Like, we're not obligated for us to go to the smoothie bar. But where I work out at, there are a lot of places, including Portillo's, right by the gym. So for me, an inexpensive date for the first date makes more sense for courtesy of the male, because I don't want you to feel like now it takes away the obligation that I owe you something because you spent $200-$300 on the first date with me. It takes away the guilt of me feeling like, damn, I don't want to talk to this man no more. He just took me to this beautiful place. And then it also takes away that atmosphere of beauty to where you think you like this man, but you know nothing about his personality. You just being awed by the atmosphere. So that's just my take on first dates. And if we end up dating again, we can still do something, inexpensive, because a second date don't guarantee a third one. But, if we make it to the third date and you like, look, I want to take this woman somewhere nice. By that time, I done brought my pure intentions cards. I done got to know you a little bit better. So I'm down for it. Like, let's see what this do,
And really quickly, for the women, the masculine modern woman that's gonna bash you for that statement of, all they are gonna hear from this is she's a cheap date. And if you perpetuate that to other young girls, and they get that in their mindset, whereas this modern woman is used to get the most that they can out of a man. What do you have to say to that type of woman?
Well, I don't like using masculine woman.
The modern woman. I might get canceled for saying that. I don't care.
No, I just feel like that there are masculine women or stronger women, or women that, because I'm very submissive. Like, I don't need a man to calm me down to make me submissive. I'm just a naturally submissive woman. That's just who I am. Now, that doesn't mean that I just go around and submitting to every man that I date. Like, I do guard my heart, but I'm just naturally submissive. So then there's a type of woman that has been conditioned to have a guard up because she can take care of herself and she can do this by herself. And that's okay too. I'm just going to say, to each his own, like, I just feel like that if you want to be taken out on a particular type of date and you feel like you deserve that particular type of date, that's fine. Like, I'm not here to say that you're wrong for doing what you enjoy. But if a man that spends $300, $400 on you on a first date now wants to take you home and have sex with you, I'm not saying to give him the cookies, but you shouldn't be mad at that man neither, because he feel like what he did was an investment. Like, my point of doing what I do is to avoid that feeling of you invested into me, and also to avoid, you feeling some type of way because I might not want to date you anymore. So again, to each his own. If you want a man to take you somewhere really nice and expensive on the first date, that is your prerogative. But for me, I'd rather you not waste your money, because I might not want to date you again. This is a vetting phase.
Because you're trying to vet the person that isn't intentionally, that's the one for you. And if those things don't align, you can move around real quick.
Yeah.